One of the most common themes that I hear from individuals who have ongoing engagement with people who have strong narcissistic characteristics is they just say, I just feel so worn out knowing that narcissist over there is the one who seems to be the one that calls the shots, and they're not held to any kind of accountability. And anytime that somebody comes along and says, hey, this is not right, they pull their shenanigans, whether they play their passive aggressive games or their dominant games. You conclude, as you engage with this kind of individual, this is not a nice person. And yet they're over there seemingly smug and in charge, and they're the ones that everybody has to filter life through. Most of you would be able to share a thought that I know I have many times, and that is, if they want to have their own miserable life, at some point it's like, fine, go ahead and be miserable. Just leave me out of it. And yet, how many times are you kind of stuck with that person? You can't necessarily get away from their presence, or even if you do physically get away from their presence, the influence still remains, and many of the negative behaviors that they have lived with you with just keep having repercussions and consequences that just keep coming back. They tend to have a way of pulling you back in, though. They can argue, or you find out how judgmental they are, or they can sabotage your other relationships. They can just act in very contrarian kinds of ways. And then what's worse is they bring other individuals into their circle of influence to treat you in the same way that they're treating you. And it just becomes one big, huge exasperation. And so you can begin having this real sense of futility, saying, these people seem to think that they are the ones who get to be in control, and they're getting away with it. This isn't fair. And so you want justice, and you want that fairness, and I get that. But then sometimes you can actually have so much of a sense of futility that you want revenge. And you wish you could say, these people need to pay for all the damage they're inflicting, and yet sometimes you feel powerless in your ability to try to make them pay. Now, sometimes you can get pulled into your own power plays with those individuals. They're mean to you, so you act mean back. They say ugly things about you to other people, so you can get into that PR game and try to say ugly things about them too. But then you wind up just playing their game, and you get caught up in their patterns of living, and you're no more effective because of that. So I guess one of the things we're going to have to say is, at some level, it can appear that narcissists are winning. And when we say winning, they're the ones who seem to have a sense of control. But I do believe that in the long run, it doesn't necessarily play out that way. You've heard of karma, and that's what I'm wanting to appeal to here today. Karma is a rather complex concept if you go and read about it in a heavy sort of way. But basically, it more or less says when you have good deeds and good intentions, then good tends to come your way as you move into your future. If you have negative deeds and negative intentions, negative things tend to come your way. And so we're going to go with the idea that says sometimes karma becomes its own revenge. Karma actually creates its own payment system, if you will, that the narcissist ultimately has to live into. Now, before we go there, let's underscore. You need to have your boundaries with them. You need to have assertiveness. You need to sometimes go in your own separate path. Those are all very legitimate kinds of things. And yet, even then, there are times when it's like, well, but the narcissist is still over there, just holding court and being whatever it is they want to be. And it's true. But let's also understand that they are perpetuating a pattern of life that ultimately they're stuck in, and they're stuck with the karma that goes with it. Now, let me see if I can give you an idea of what I'm talking about and where karma comes into a narcissist's life. Not that you're going to sit over on the sidelines and take great glee, but let's remind ourselves of some major truths here. Sure enough, I just mentioned that narcissists are stuck, and they're stuck in their own emotional and relational patterns of immaturity. What that means is narcissists are not able to engage with other adults in an adult kind of way. They're unable to have relationships that are anchored in maturity. That's their karma. Think about that. That's not good for them. Narcissists are unable to sustain relationships in a healthy kind of way because they have to lie and keep secrets and constantly play games of cover up. That's how they engage with individuals. That becomes its own form of karma. Think about what it's like to have to live a life like that. Or we can also say, because of their haughtiness and condescension, narcissists are never going to know what it's like to be in a mutually respectful relationship. They don't know what it is. They'll never be able to experience that. That's their karma. Now, another thing we're going to say is, over time, good people are able to spot those narcissists and stay away from the narcissist. It's like, I don't want anything to do with that person. Ultimately, that's part of a narcissist's karma. You ever think of that? Or let's say another. The narcissist has this ongoing strain of anger and tension. And they're never able to come to healthy resolution because when you go into this chronic aggressiveness and harshness toward other individuals, it becomes the gift that keeps on giving. And so as the years go by, that anger remains inside of them and it rots on the inside of them. It destroys their personality and they wind up becoming people captured by their own internal bitterness. That's their karma. We can also say that over time, when a narcissist has a reputation of being smug or better than, eventually other people begin to see it as cartoonish. Now, that's something that narcissists are afraid to think of. It's almost like your life is built on a joke. That's their karma. Or another thing we're going to say about narcissists, and that is the closest that a narcissist will come to love is through short-term infatuations. They're pretty good at love bombing, at least some of them are, but they'll never understand or know or experience true love that's sustained in a warm and ongoing kind of affirmation, patience that leads to peace. They won't know that love at all. That's their karma. Or we're also going to say that narcissists, because they operate with such a fear, are never going to be able to trust individuals. Instead, they're going to have a paranoia that takes over their personality. That becomes their karma. Or they crave admiration and they crave significance, but over time, people become disgusted by them. And so they go on to try to find other people that might admire them and give them significance. But the disgust that other individuals have for them, that becomes part of their karma. Or another thing we can say is because their own egos are so dominant, they're unable to appreciate the goodness and the joys that other people have in their life. They don't have an empathy, so they're unable to share in a mutually gratifying way the characteristics that other people can bring that can bring fullness to relationships. That becomes part of their karma. And then we'll also say that because narcissists perpetuate pain, when it comes time for people to minister or to serve them in their own pain, people stay away. It's like, I don't want to have anything to do with them. That becomes part of their karma. So I know that there can be moments when it seems like they're getting away with all sorts of negative kinds of things, but let's keep in mind, karma happens. And I'm going to go back and reiterate, keep up your boundaries, keep up your assertiveness, and when you can, keep your distance from them. And then I'm hoping that you'll have a resolve that says, well, I'm going to live into the much healthier kinds of characteristics, dignity, respect, and civility. And then that can become your karma. So you can see that short term, they may have their victories. Long term, what they have is themselves. And I want to conclude with one really large thought, and I want you to hear me out all the way on this, because this can put a perspective on what it's like for that narcissistic person to live inside a narcissistic personality. And that is this: I genuinely believe that these narcissistic individuals are stuck inside their own perpetual hell. And it's a hell that's created by their own uncaring spirit, by their unwillingness to forgive, and by their own sheer emptiness. That's their karma. I do hope that videos such as this prompt some thinking in you, and I hope it helps you try to figure out what it is that you're dealing with and how you can manage it in a clean kind of way. If you've not already done so, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button and that little bell that'll give you notifications when more videos come along. We have our websites, survivingnarcissism.tv and my drlescarter.com website. I know sometimes when you are thinking about concepts like what we're talking about, it may prompt you to want to seek out licensed professional counseling, and we've vetted a group that can do that online. And in this day and age, many people are wanting online counseling. There's a link below that can take you to that, and if you need it, I would encourage you to avail yourself to that. We also have links below to my books, my online video workshops, and even coffee mugs. I do believe that karma happens, and I hope that you have good karma. Let's recognize that as you lean into what you know are your wisest and better alternatives, that you're going to be able to find goodness. I'm hoping that you're able to live into love, and I'm hoping that you are able to find peace and become a giver of peace.